Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 3 of the Open Mic Podcast. My name is Caroline. I'm a junior at Columbia University, and I'm so excited to be hosting this new series where we'll be talking about school and life and everything in between. Each episode will feature a different topic and a different guest, and today I'm so excited to be introducing you to my good friend, Bilal Siddiqui. Bilal, thank you for being with me today.
Thank you for having me, Caroline.
How's everything going? Do you want to give a quick introduction about yourself?
Yeah, will do. Yeah, everything's good. So hi, everyone. My name is Bilal Siddiqui. I am 20 years old, and I'm in my third year at the Sophie Davis Biomedical Education program at the CUNY School of Medicine. And me and Caroline have been friends for a while now. I think we met first in elementary school.
Yeah, I think it was 5th grade, right? Mrs. Treber's class?
Yeah, is that when you first moved into the district?
Okay. Yeah, and then we went to middle school and then high school together. And I think the last time we met in person was probably...
Was it the last day? I think it was high school,
High school graduation. So it's been a long time.
It really has.
So yeah, we heard that Bilal is a super smarty and he goes to Sophie Davis School of Biomedical Education. Do you want to give a quick overview of what that is, what it means to have your BSMD kind of combined?
Yeah, so the Sophie Davis Biomedical Education program is a program that combines both your undergrad and your medical school. So when you apply in high school, you're pretty much applying to both undergrad and medical school. And so you just have to keep a GPA requirement. And if you do that, then you're accepted into the medical school and you don't have to take the MCAT. So it's pretty nice just having that sense of security.
I guess going into a BSMD combined program, you really have to be set on pursuing an MD degree when you're in high school. And I know it's kind of early for some people. How did you know that you wanted to do this?
So my mom is actually a doctor, and she's probably the biggest reason that I even applied to BSMD programs. Just having her in my life and watching her, I kind of knew from early on that I wanted to be a doctor. And she just pushed me as this is you'll save yourself so much stress in the future if you can get into one out of high school. So yeah, she just pushed me really hard.
Do you think it's now that you're in the track, do you think that was a good decision for yourself?
I do think so. Just looking at my peers who are struggling a bit and have to commit to a lot of extracurriculars as well as studying extra hard, maintaining their GPA. I don't really have those restrictions on me, so I can kind of just enjoy myself for now.
Also, it's a 7-year program, right? Because generally you have your 4 years of undergrad, at least in the US, you have your 4 years of undergrad. Some people may or may not take a gap year or 2 or more than that. And then you have to apply to medical school. And then that's another 4 years. And so basically you have your condensed version, which is a 7-year program, and you're guaranteed acceptance as long as your GPA is maintained, right? So I feel like that's really good too. Since it is condensed, since it's not your typical 4+4, do you want to kind of explain how that works? How are you able to fit 8 years of material into 7?
Okay, so basically first year of undergrad is pretty much the same at any other college. You do have some required courses that you need to take, but other than that, you're pretty much free. But then starting the second year, they make you take classes that they tell you to. So you start losing your freedoms to take what classes you want besides the collectives. And so they kind of fast track everything. I think it was starting from winter of second year, they start making you take classes during breaks. So I think we started class in the beginning of January. So I kind of missed out on some breaks, but that's in order to save the year. And then they actually start the medical school portion in the spring of third year. So that's when I'm taking anatomy and other medical school classes officially.
Spring of third year. So that's basically now, right?
Yeah, that's now.
Yeah. And yeah, when the time of this filming of this podcast, I think it's your third day of your official start of the semester.
Yeah.
How has it been so far?
It's been all right so far. Classes are a bit dense and we don't have much break, but they did change the curriculum a bit so that it would be a little easier for us. Like we were supposed to take two classes back to back or at the same time, but now they changed it. So then we're taking them back to back. So we have a class called Fundamentals of Organ Systems, which is like from now until middle of April. And then from April to June, we have anatomy. And a lot of students used to complain that having them together was really hard. But yeah, they listened and they changed a bit so that it would be easier for us.
Oh, that's good. I like that they like listen to student feedback and then like adjust accordingly. I feel like it's a good way for the school to respond. Yeah. I mean, I would imagine just like, cause this is like, we're in the same year, right? So this is our, technically my junior spring and then Bilal's junior/senior spring of undergrad. How has the transition been? Like the transition, I know you kind of gradually go into the medical school curriculum. How has that been? I feel like it's a big jump, is it?
I don't really think so. I guess in class difficulty, yes, there is a big jump. Like from taking orgo to taking like medical school biochem, there was actually like a pretty big learning curve. And thankfully, there we have a lot of guidance from like older students. We are paired with like a buddy system, so we have a mentor, and that was really helpful in like telling us how we should study, what we need to focus on. So thankfully, it wasn't too bad, but there definitely is like a difference in terms of the difficulty. And I think one thing that kind of helps you change your mentality a bit is like in third year, you're supposed to get your white coat. We didn't get it so yet because of the pandemic. I think they're trying to hold out and see if we can do the ceremony in person. But I think just having that like the white coat is like something that like physically shows you that, you know, you're on your path to becoming a doctor now. So you have to get serious.
That's so exciting. Do you want to explain what the white coat ceremony, in case people, what it is, like in case people don't know what it is?
So basically the white coat ceremony is a ceremony where everyone is like given a white coat to signify that they're entering into the medical field. So it's from that point that you kind of, you're swearing yourself to abide by like principles to holding your patient's life like at the highest and like taking care of them.
Like watching videos of it kind of reminds me of, it's kind of like a graduation ceremony, but like a rite of passage into medical school. And it's just so exciting. And then I've seen some virtual ones on YouTube where they have it pre-recorded, but then, or maybe like live streamed or something like that. And then at home, people are recording themselves and their parents like putting on their white coats for them. And I feel like it's very meaningful. It's a very meaningful rite of passage.
Yeah, I think they did the last white coat ceremony for, like virtually.
How many people are at this? I guess like how many people are in the program each year that?
So it's around 70, but the number changes because like if you fail a class, then you're actually like held back a year. So I think like just now we had like 19 people join us for like this class because they failed it previously. Yeah, so it kind of fluctuates.
Do you form really close connections with the rest of your group since you're going through, instead of like just 4 years of undergrad, you're going through 7 years of education with them?
Yeah, I mean, it has been only my third year, so
Sure.
but I do expect so. Like some people like really like it, but at the same time, you're stuck with the same people for all 7 years, so you know you don't really get that change of scenery if you wanted it. But yeah, I do think that relationships will kind of be like pretty strong by the end of the 7 years.
Yeah, and Sophie Davis itself is located kind of by Columbia, like
it's literally only 2 subway stops away, I think.
Yeah,
2 or 3.
it's so close, but we haven't had the chance to meet up or have like, I guess pre-COVID, like have lunch or anything like that. But maybe after everything passes, after we are able to return to campus, we should definitely do that.
Yeah, definitely.
How do you like find the city? Because I know like we're from New York originally. So, like, do you enjoy staying in New York?
I really do. Like it is very different from like Long Island, and just like being able to have so many things within like walking distance or within like not needing a car to go wherever you want. I really do think that is pretty great. Like after class, I can like ask my friends, hey, do you want to go like downtown, grab some food or something? And then like within like 30-40 minutes, we can be like at like a cafe or at like a nice restaurant eating.
How often do you would you say you like go downtown?
I would say like a couple of times a week.
Oh, that's actually pretty good. That's like a nice frequency.
I guess like also for me, just because like we were supposed to like take a lot of elective credits, but AP credits covered for those. So like I was pretty much covered on that end. So my course load was pretty light. So I had a lot of free time actually to,
Oh, that's so
just hang out. Yeah.
Is it like AP Bio, AP Chem?
Yeah, they basically took like every AP, like up to 17 credits, and we only needed 19 credits for electives.
Oh,
so
wow,
I just needed to take one class. Yeah.
Oh, that's actually
was
so
it.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that one credit required. Oh, wait, was that 2? Am I doing math
Yeah,
wrong?
2.
2.
It's been 2.
I'm thinking 18 for some reason.
It's been too long since D's multivariable calculus class.
Oh my gosh, shout out to Dr. 𝗪𝗓𝗓. If you're listening to this, maybe we'll send this podcast to you. Yeah, Bilal and I, we met in elementary school, but then middle school, were we in any of the same classes? I feel like
I think in 6th grade we were, right? We were both in wine. Wait, was there
6A?
I don't even remember, but I think it was, did we?
We're like team 6A, 6B, 6C. And
okay.
We had different teachers within those different teams. I feel like that's how it was organized. And then high school was different.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then we did take our last year, so our senior year, we did take multivariable calculus with Dr. D. And that was so fun. That was
it really was.
I liked it. Yeah. All the people and the teacher too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Do you think your high school, what you learned in high school has helped in, like, what do you think was the most helpful from high school that helped in your college transition?
Honestly, I think that this is going to sound really, really strange, but Regents Bio has I'm not even joking, but 9th grade, shout out to Mr. Croce. He was a great teacher, but so much that I learned in that class has like followed through to every biology class I've had, like starting from like animal physiology, which I had to take in my first year, to even like some like biochemistry. Like, I actually learned like a lot of the basics in that class, which was like pretty crazy to me.
Yeah, I think I didn't take AP Bio, and so I also agreed that Regents Bio. So I guess in New York State they have the Regents exam, which is like the standard biology for high schoolers. So I feel like that background. So I took it in 9th grade, and I didn't take any biology until sophomore year of college. But I did do, like, we did have like other outside like biology stuff. So I feel like that helped too. But I feel like Regents Bio set the foundation for the rest of the biology that we're learning. I think that's really interesting. And I was surprised. I thought you were going to say something like AP Chem or like, oh, study skills or something like that. But I like that answer, Regents Bio. Speaking on the subject of courses, do you have any favorite courses that you've taken in college so far, or that you're most looking forward to?
Well, most looking forward to, I think maybe anatomy is something that I am looking forward to a lot. Like my brother took anatomy like just like this past fall, and he did say it was pretty hard, but I kind of do like human anatomy, and if we do get to go back in person later on, then we'll be able to do like dissections of cadavers and things, and I think that'll be pretty interesting.
Is your brother also in medicine?
Yeah, he's also in medical school.
Oh, okay. So
yeah, he went through the traditional route. Yeah.
Oh, nice. So what year is he?
He's in his first year.
Oh, nice. Exciting. So you guys can travel the journey together. Like, it's good to have like a strong social network and a strong support system and someone who knows what you're going through. I feel like that is really helpful for medical school.
Yeah, like medical school burnout is a real thing, and a lot of people like they don't really focus on their mental health, but that's something that, you know, if you do plan on going through this path, you need to take care of. So just having like someone to support you and someone who knows what you're going through, I do think, that will be something that's pretty valuable.
What else do you think is helping you to like relieve your stress? Like, what hobbies I feel like in college, people start taking up new hobbies, whether it's because of like they're maturing or they just have a different schedule and more time. What do you think has been your experience with that?
I'd say that there are a couple. One was calligraphy, which I actually started in high school,
Mm-hmm.
and I kind of just continued that.
Mm-hmm.
And another one was rock climbing, which I picked up literally right after high school ended.
Rock climbing. Do you still, I mean, not now, but like
Yeah,
like throughout college, you continued?
yeah, I did. I actually started a rock climbing club at college, and
Oh,
we'd
nice.
go pretty much like every week, like maybe 2 to 3 times. So that was really
Where
fun.
where was the gym for that?
There are actually a couple near us. So there's one on 129th Street.
Okay.
It's actually like right next to some Columbia buildings. Uh, so that's one, and there's also one on like 125th Street by the A train.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that's like a new one that was like opening up. It wasn't like officially opened, but we had some insider access because the club president was actually dating someone who worked there and was pretty high up. So we got access to it pretty early.
Connections. You need those connections for good climbing gyms.
Hmm.
Yeah, I know there's I think you mentioned like the one by 125th. I think in the Columbia's one of the campuses, they have a like a special climbing wall. I haven't been inside, but I just
Hmm.
like whenever we pass by when we're taking the shuttle or something, it's a clear glass building and so you see
Yeah,
everyone. Is
that's
it
it.
that one?
That's it. Yeah.
Ah, okay, okay. Yeah. That's cool. And I just remember in high school, I don't know why, but in high school everyone started climbing. Is like why
Yeah.
was that a thing?
So there was one person who like got into climbing and started working at a climbing gym, and like he got into it like super super seriously. I don't know if you
Oh,
remember Daniel Wu.
uh-huh, uh-huh.
Yeah, so he went super hard into climbing, and like he really enjoyed it, and he started taking his friends,
And then
and
like
then
all of the
then everyone just started climbing. And yeah, I kind of got swept up into that, and I feel like a lot of those people they don't really climb anymore, but
oh,
like a few of us like we just kept climbing and we love it.
well, that's interesting. That's really cool. So that's a good way to get your endorphins up and just
Yeah,
you don't have to you just think about where your grip is and think about where you're stepping and then you don't have to think about any of the other
yeah.
stressors in your life. I think that's
There's also like an aspect to like problem solving when you're rock climbing,
mm.
which is pretty nice. And like instead of just like lifting weight mindlessly, like you are thinking about like how you're going to tackle the problem.
Oh, that's interesting. Is it kind of like a diagnosis? I don't know. I'm just trying to make a connection.
And maybe like a math problem.
Oh
I don't
yeah.
know. Or like you kind of have to like apply different techniques
Mm.
like when you're going up and like just
If
trying to take like
one
the best route.
right.
Yeah.
If one way doesn't work out, do you have to go back and then kind of
Yeah. So
go
like
up again?
if you fall then like or the type of rock climbing that I do is called bouldering,
Uh-huh.
which is like you don't have a rope, but
Uh-huh.
you're not going as high. Like I
Okay.
think you max go like up to like 15, 16 feet. I mean, which
Pretty
is pretty high,
high.
but
Oh.
yeah, there's like a super, super thick padding on the floor. So like it's not bad.
Mhm.
But yes, it's mostly focused on like physical strength and like the routes are more like yeah, problem solving based. So you have to think of like how you're going to tackle it, which hold you're going to go to next, like which hand you're going to grab it with,
Mhm.
which way you're going to like actually like hold on to it.
Mhm.
So there are a number of factors that you have to consider, and
Mm.
yeah, that makes it like pretty fun for me.
What other kind of clubs are you involved in school?
Um, I think that's like my main one.
Mhm.
Like I think first year I went overload on clubs and like I signed up for everything,
Mhm.
and I didn't really end up like following through too heavily with anything.
Mhm.
And I was like, I should only be doing things that I really enjoy. So then I kind of just like dedicated my time to the rock climbing club, and now I'm the president.
I think I kind of resonate with that because I feel like when we enter college, I think part of it is ourselves and part of it is like what we hear from other people that we should sign up for everything and see what interests us and then try to do everything. But then as you go through college, as you become like a sophomore, junior, or senior, you start realizing that there are certain things you want to stick with. And there are certain things that make you actually happy and you want to do those things and you want to go to those club meetings. And those are what eventually turn out to be really meaningful activities. So I think that's a good piece of advice to keep in mind and anywhere you are, if you're in high school or if you're in college or beyond. So
Yeah,
yeah.
definitely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I guess talking about the people on your rock climbing team, they're all part of, are they all part of your like
Program.
cohort? Is that what you call it? Like a,
We just call it our year.
okay, your year.
But no. So we are technically part of the City College of New York. And while we have our own building and we're pretty separate from them, we are able to like use all their facilities and like I go to any clubs there. So the club is part of the City College of New York, or CCNY. And that's because Sophie Davis is pretty small, and like we wouldn't have had enough members join for it to like actually be a club. So we opened it part of CCNY, and we actually do get like a pretty diverse group of people come.
How far away is the campus that you guys like at Sophie Davis have versus the...
It's probably like a 5-minute walk.
Oh,
really,
okay.
Yeah,
That's
literally like right next door.
Oh, nice. And then you guys are paired with which medical school, and like how does that?
So it's part of the CUNY School of Medicine. It's actually like it's a pretty new medical school. Like it's not where we have preliminary accreditation right now, but how it worked, like at first what like the program was is that you are at Sophie Davis for 5 years. So like your first 2 years of medical school, that's when you take like all your like traditional science classes, and you take your step 1 exam at the end of those 2 years. So after you do that, you'd actually apply to different partnered medical schools where you do your rotations, which is where you follow doctors of different like fields, and you kind of get a sense of which field you like, which field you want to go into. You get that experience. So that was before. So you'd apply to different colleges, such as like, I think NYU was one of them, Dartmouth, Stony Brook, SUNY Downstate, SUNY Upstate, Albany Medical College, and like 1 or 2 more. And so you'd apply to them and they'd accept you. Like, and yeah, you'd actually get your medical degree from one of those universities. So that's what it was before. But I think a couple of years ago, they decided that they wanted to keep everything in-house. So they opened up the CUNY School of Medicine. And yeah, so now you get like a degree from the CUNY School of Medicine, and they partnered with a few hospitals, and that's where you do your rotations.
Oh, nice. And everything basically staying in the city, right? Even after when you're doing your rotations.
You are like going to the Bronx though, for the most part, for like your last 2 years. But there are some like options of which hospitals you can go to. So that is pretty nice. Like there are some locations in Long Island, in Staten Island, in Brooklyn. So like depending on where you're living, you can kind of sign up to do rotations at like a hospital close to you.
Which specific medical fields do students from Sophie Davis usually go into, if you know?
Yeah. So like when the program first started out, it was mainly to promote like primary care to underrepresented minorities. So there is like a very large like minority population at Sophie Davis. I'd say like maybe like 70% of like Sophie Davis students are non-white students. And so they wanted to focus on like giving that opportunity to students who like normally like probably wouldn't be able to like go into medicine. But yeah, the program has changed a bit. So yeah, it was before that if you wanted to go into something other than primary care, you had to pay like a penalty.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you have to pay a penalty to like go into a different field. But they changed that now, ever since like they opened up the medical school in-house, that you can go into whatever field you want. And there are like clubs that like now focus on like getting students into like whatever field they want. So there's like pediatrics, orthopedic surgery, ophthalmology, like everything. So students can get that like experience from like early on to figure out where they want to go.
If you want to explain to our audience, like, what is primary care and what is outside of primary care?
So primary care is like your general physician. So someone who'd like give you your physical, like you'd go to if you have like any like basic problems, you're not feeling well, you'd go to them, and like then they'd refer you to other doctors if need be. So that's what like primary care is. And then people who are in like different specialties, they go into like focus on other parts of the body. So like one example would be ophthalmology, for example. Like you're only focusing on the eyes, but general like primary care physicians, they kind of have like that broad range of knowledge where they do know about like every part of the body, and like then they can see like what's wrong and then refer you to where you need to go.
I know you mentioned the white coat ceremony is now kind of it was virtual for the last class, and then now it might be in person depending on how things might go. How has COVID affected your transition into med school, do you think?
I think that it's had a pretty big effect on us. Just like having all our classes that were supposed to be in person and kind of losing like the drive you normally have while you're in person and like you're physically attending lectures. I think that COVID has kind of like dampened that, and it's been a little bit hard to just like stay motivated, but at the same time class doesn't stop and you have to just like keep doing your best. So yeah, it's also like hindered like extracurricular activities, not being able to do anything, while we don't really need to worry about like how medical schools will see it because we're locked in. That has been like one good thing about like being in a BSMD program.
And how have your lab classes been affected if you had lab classes?
So we actually didn't have any labs, but like talking to some of like the younger students, like students like 1 or 2 years below me, all of their labs are virtual. And instead of like actually participating in the labs, it's pretty much the lab instructor does them and they just like watch it, or they use some like software to see it happening. And then they just have to do the reports based on that.
Yeah.
So they don't really get that experience.
Yeah, I think I took Orgo Lab this past semester. And so we did, since we couldn't access the lab at Columbia, we did 4 in-house experiments, or like
Really?
in our homes with the materials that we had. And then for the rest of the semester, we watched online videos. And I feel like that process, I mean, the in-house labs were really fun. And I think that being able to see the labs done correctly, like without so many mistakes, I feel like that was a good like theoretical learning process, just like seeing my lab professor like perform everything, and then like we get the data and we write the lab report. But I think it would be fun like if we could go back and do it in person too, just to see, just to get the actual feel of it. Did you have any expectations going into Sophie Davis, and like were those expectations met? Were they not met? Or how has your outlook changed?
Great question. I'd say that I was pretty cynical actually going into Sophie Davis. I wasn't sure how it would be, and I didn't have like very many expectations. But surprisingly, I'd say like the one thing that's kind of exceeded those expectations are the people that I've met, and I've made some really good friends, and we've just like going through everything together is like something that like I really liked, and we've always been there for each other, like in terms of like classes, in terms of like just like support to lean on if like going through a hard time. So yeah, that's been really nice.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like whenever we think of colleges or whenever we think of medical schools, we focus a lot on obviously like we have to focus a lot on like what the school is offering, the curriculum and how everything is structured, but then we forget that there are real people that are attending these schools, such as like yourself and myself, and that like the human connection is really important. And so I feel like, yeah, as long as you meet a good group of people that you really can connect with and that you can really fit in well with, and it just makes you feel a lot more comfortable in the space.
How has your experience been? What you were expecting and how it's actually been?
Yeah. What was I expecting? I think maybe this notion came from like watching too many teen movies, because I like going in and you see like people vlogging and everything, and you are expecting, I guess what I was expecting would be like, oh my gosh, college is going to be like 100% like all fun and like all social life and everything. But when you go in after orientation week, you realize that you have to study. It is college. The courses are, I would say, more difficult than high school courses. And so, it really is a lot of studying too, in addition to what you see in the movies and what you see on YouTube. So I feel like that is something that people realize like right when they get into college.
Yeah.
Other than that, I was maybe coming from like our school district and our part of New York, I was really like pleasantly surprised by how diverse it was and meeting people from different backgrounds and different communities. I think that was like, that is just like it was really eye-opening, and I just made many, many new friends and many good friends that way. So, and people are just very talented and in things that you don't expect them to be, like in music or in just like they're like super talented artists and things like that. So I'm just very in awe of that. So yeah,
That's great.
I guess that just ties into the people, like you were saying, like meeting the people there. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. I do agree on that. Like just like the diversity,
Mm-hmm.
like in college is really nice. Like coming from like where we came from.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Let's see. What else about Sophie Davis do you think people should know who are applying?
With BSMD programs, like in general, it is pretty random whether you're going to get in or not. Like that's just like one thing. Like there are like a lot of applicants and there are generally like a few seats. So even if you're like very highly qualified, like it literally just takes like one person having a bad day, like one admissions officer having a bad day, having a really good day, that can determine whether or not you get in.
Mm-hmm.
So the best thing to do is to just keep your expectations low, but be hopeful.
Okay.
So yeah. And also they do, like Sophie Davis, like in particular, they do like to see some sort of commitment to helping like the underserved populations. That's just like one big focus of like the program, is that they want like people who would be committed to like helping people who need the help the most.
I think that's good advice. And also like really think about if that is what you truly are interested in, definitely going into it, making sure you match with the values of the institution that you're applying to. I think that's really important because that'll make your experience a good experience, right?
Yeah. And like the majority of students here do have that point of view. Mm-hmm. So just being with like-minded individuals is like, it does foster like great community. Mm-hmm. So for these programs, you first have to apply to the undergrad, and then you also have like a somewhat separate medical school application. So like when you first apply to the medical school, like on your to the undergrad on your Common App, you'll have to like fill out everything, and then they'll usually have like a bullet point or like a bullet pointed question. Are you applying to this program? And like the name of like the medical program. And if you select yes, then it opens up like some extra essays or like a different part like of things you have to complete for that program. So like for example, like one program that I applied to was like the Boston University like BSMD program. So for that, I had to complete like an extra like 3 essays, as well as like get additional forms filled in and like mail those over. So, it is a little bit like more time consuming. So if you do plan on going through like the application process, you have to be on top of your things early on, just because like there are deadlines to meet. Like you have to, for that specific program, you have to get 2 additional letters of recommendation from teachers from high school from like specific classes. So you need one from like a social studies teacher, as well as one from, I think, a math teacher or a science teacher. So you have to know like early on that, hey, I have to reach out to these teachers and get a letter of recommendation. So just like staying on top of things and organizing everything so that you know when your due dates are, what forms you need to get filled out, what essays you need to complete. That's something that's very important.
Right, because essentially you're applying to your BS and your MD. So the process is probably more complex than if you're just applying for your bachelor's.
Yeah. And after you send out like that application, then the university will reach out to you, or from like the medical school, someone will reach out to you, and you'll usually have an in-person interview at the college that you have to attend for like the second part of it. So like if they like your application, like you'll make it to the next part, and then you have your in-person interviews that give you a sense of like what the program is really like. You'll meet some students, and then you'll have like a couple of interviews with faculty or with students from the program. And yeah, that's also a big part of your application.
What do you think were the most important resources for you to understand. I know you talked about the mentorship in Sophie Davis. Do you think that speaking with the current students during your interview process, was that helpful?
I think it really was. It was something that when you talk to a student like who's actually going through it, you get a sense of what the program will actually be like for you. And well, what I really liked was that the students that I talked to didn't really sugarcoat anything. You know, they spoke about their experience and, you know, the realities of college. So I didn't think that I was like, I didn't get like the same sense of how everything was going to be like super fun and, you know, just like candy and rainbows. Yeah, but you get that sense that, you know, you do have to work hard, but if you do work hard, it will pay off.
Yeah, I think it's good to know the reality, so that you have good preparation going in on what to expect, and you won't be surprised or shocked by that. So
yeah. So yeah, I have a question for you actually, Caroline.
Yeah.
Yeah, you mentioned that in your first year you got into like a lot of different clubs and that kind of like narrowed down like later on. What are some of those clubs that you are interested in, and like what do you do in those clubs?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I think in my first year, this was just like for the first year because it was based on the residence hall I was living in. So in podcast 1, if you listened to that, if you didn't, then listen to that after this one. I was president of hall council. So that was fun. So basically what that was is kind of like student council before your residence hall. And so we plan a lot of fun activities and fun events. And because it was specifically a first year dorm, it was really nice because everyone is coming from a different place. We don't really know each other yet, but then I feel like we were able to foster a good sense of community there. And so that was hall council. And then other ones that I'm currently still in, I'm in SEBS, so Scientists and Engineers for a Better Society. I'm also president for that for this academic year. And so before that, I had experience as the finance director for it. So what we do is like we try to provide some mentorship and also just like supplemental education to students around Morningside Heights and Harlem. And on campus, we hold events like Fall for Science or Spring into Science. So just cute events like those where we have science-based activities just to really help to foster an early interest in the sciences, like regardless of the field, in technology and engineering and math even, by doing that. So those are a couple of activities. And I feel like we do have a lot of culture clubs. So I'm not technically a member of a culture club, but they do host other activities. So there were like fashion shows, culture shows. So I did take part in those. And I feel like those are really fun because you're on they're organizing everything. And so you're going in, you're modeling their clothes, you're just like having fun being in the show. So that's a good experience.
Yeah, I think I did watch those YouTube videos of yours. So
really?
Yeah, they were nice.
Oh,
if you haven't seen them, you should check them out.
Thank you, Bilal, for plugging my stuff on the podcast. Yeah, so I'll probably link those somewhere up in the YouTube bar or in the description. So check those out. Yeah, I mean, in college, at the club fairs, I think I spoke about this in one of my college advice videos, but there's usually club fairs, right? Do you guys have that too?
Yeah.
So at the club fairs, you will be introduced to a lot of different clubs, and obviously the different clubs will want you to join their club because they think their club is the best. And so they'll have sign-up sheets and they'll have your emails, like email inputting areas. And so I feel like everyone's inbox the first month or even the first year of college is just all the different clubs emailing you about their meeting times, about their applications. And that might feel overwhelming. So I think if there's a club that you definitely will not join, then don't sign up for it. I don't think the people there who are promoting it will not be offended if you do not sign up. But if there's something that you do have some interest in, definitely put that on your list. And then you'll narrow it down. Like Bilal was saying, if first year, people will typically join as in sign up for a lot of different clubs. And then as you go on throughout your years, you'll narrow everything down. And then you'll stick with, like Bilal was sticking with rock climbing, which is a fun sport. I have never tried that. Yeah, I feel like maybe I'll try it someday. Maybe I'm just too scared of rock climbing, but.
But yeah, I 100% agree with like that sentiment of signing up for everything and then you're just bombarded with emails and you're just like, why did I do that? Like I actually still do get emails from clubs that I have not once attended.
Same,
And
same.
so, yeah. So yeah, you're better off just like sticking to what you really enjoy. I know for me, some of the clubs did like offer incentives to sign up. Like
Really?
they give you like a cupcake or some candy or
Yeah, yeah,
something.
they do like the candy, or they give
Yeah,
you a sticker, and
yeah. So it is really tempting to sign up for everything, but like at the same time, like do know that you're gonna be like blasted with like a ton of emails, and so just be smart about it.
yeah, and sometimes this is just talking about listservs. So when you unsubscribe from a listserv, some people, like there's usually an unsubscribe button at the bottom or something where you
Yeah,
can just reply to the person who put you on the list. Some people forget about that. And then they reply all, and then the thousands of students on that listserv all get it. And then someone else replies to that and they reply all. And then there was once an entire chain of maybe like 50 something emails. It was like,
yeah.
it became a joke kind of, but it was a back and forth of everyone just like, did I subscribe? Or like people are just like, people like do not reply all. And then everyone, it was funny. It was funny.
I've definitely seen like one or two of those happen. Like,
It's like comic relief in your email inbox. And talking about comic relief or any type of stress relief, what else do you do in college that like for fun, or what else do you enjoy?
one thing that like I honestly didn't think I'd get into, but I have is Korean dramas. So like honestly, I had like no interest in them whatsoever. Not even like not K-pop, not Korean dramas. Like, but I had this one friend, like a really good friend, who like really enjoyed them, and she kind of like pushed me into watching them. She was like, "Okay, like we're on break right now, so you have to give one a shot with me." Just
Wait, so
like
your winter break was your first exposure to K-dramas?
not this break, like
Oh, okay.
maybe a year ago.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, so it's been a little bit of time, maybe 2 years. I honestly don't remember. Actually, it might have. No, I do think it was 1 year.
1 year.
So yeah, so she
Was this
was
a
like,
college friend?
this was a college friend. Yeah,
Mm.
so she was like, okay, um, hop on like a Google Hangouts with me, and we'll just watch. And you know, if you don't like them, then okay, you don't have to continue with them. But if you do, then yeah, just keep watching. And so we watched, I think, Goblin together.
Mm-hmm.
That was the first one,
Gongyu
and
with his hair,
yeah,
the goblin hair that started the
iconic.
trend in Korea.
Yeah, yeah.
Did you
But that
ever
was
have
the
that
first
hair?
one. I didn't like
Oh.
my hair just different. Like it's more like if it's short, it's more straight, but like if I grow it out, it gets kind of wavy. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah,
I could never pull off the middle part.
gotta. It's a lot of work. Like you wouldn't think,
Yeah.
but it just like to look like Gongyu is a lot of work.
Yeah. You have to be blessed with those genes.
That good hair. What
Yeah.
other dramas have you been watching?
So that was my first one. And then I think my second one was Descendants of the Sun, which
Mm.
is another classic that
Hmm.
I really liked. And from there, I was just like, you know, maybe there's something here actually. So then I just started watching a bunch, and I actually really enjoy. I think I've
Maybe there's
enjoyed almost
something
every
here.
one. Yeah, I
Everyone,
feel
yeah. I was gonna
like
say, everyone get out a pen and paper and wite these down, and this is your homework assignment on the
yeah,
podcast.
I feel like that Korean dramas are a lot different than like typical like American ones or
Mhm.
like ones from like the Western world, in
Mhm.
that a lot of the plots, they aren't afraid to like have super out there plots or like ones that are just like crazy. Because I
Yeah.
feel like a lot of like detective shows like from the US, and like they're pretty similar, but
Mhm.
like you know there are tropes and stuff in Korean dramas, but you can find like almost any topic that you like, you can find something like a drama about it.
Yeah.
That's
Like,
like one thing that's been like pretty surprising to me.
what has been your favorite so far?
My favorite is like I really like the corruption, like exposing types of dramas.
Oh.
Like there's like one like government institution or something that's like super corrupt, or like the police, and they're trying to cover something up, and then there are people trying to expose that. And
Ooh.
it's just like that sense of justice you feel at the end, like if they're successful, is like it's like euphoric.
Redemption. Is that the one with, I haven't watched it, but is it Suzy and Lee?
Yeah, that's called that one's Vagabond.
Oh, okay,
It's
that one's
so good, so good.
Oh, yeah. I know. I think I started watching Korean dramas more in when I was like 13, 12, 13. This was the summer we were gonna fly to Taiwan, and so there's a time difference, right? And so we were trying to stay
Yeah.
up and adjust for the jet lag before we got on the plane. And that was when we started watching Korean dramas like the entire night. And we watched Boys Over Flowers, and then after that, Playful Kiss, and then I don't know, just like intermittently started watching throughout my teenage years. And then now I think I sometimes watch with my sister or my mom if they're watching, but I haven't actually sat down and watched a good Korean drama for a long time.
Boys Over Flowers is definitely a classic.
Go Jinpyo, oh my gosh.
Yeah. I really had second male syndrome there.
What was that what syndrome?
Second male syndrome or second
that a
lead
thing?
syndrome. Yeah, it's actually a thing where like you feel like not like the main protagonist, but like the secondary character should actually end up with the girl.
That's a thing?
It's a thing, yeah.
Oh, that's so funny. I'm gonna look this
Yeah.
up after. That is so interesting that they have that. Is it only for Korean dramas?
I don't know, but I first heard of it like through K-dramas.
How would you fit your K-dramas into your daily life? Like, what is a typical day in the life?
It depends on like if I'm busy or not, but I would generally make time just to like watch something or just for some free time to do something else. I think that a very important part of college is getting that sense of balance in your life, having enough having a social life, but being able to focus on your studies as well as having time to yourself is something that you do need to develop during your time in college. And you really get the sense of importance when you are like swamped with work and like you're just like constantly grinding, but you do need that time to yourself. And just like establishing that early on is something that like I would recommend to everyone. So for me, I'm like a super night owl. So if it means like sacrificing sleep, like I'll stay up like super late as long as I can get like some time to myself. So even like during like super busy like finals week, I'll set aside like hours to study, but then at least like 1 hour for me to do something like watching a Korean drama, like watching some YouTube or doing some calligraphy. Like that's something that like I learned to like prioritize for myself because like I don't think I'd be able to function if I don't have that like mental break.
Do you use GCal or do you use calendars?
Calendars. Like I've tried to get into it, but there comes a point where I just forget like to use it, and like I realize that I'm pretty good at just like keeping myself like mentally organized and like I have this at this time, this at that time, like I'm on schedule. So
that's like a talent because I feel like I have to write everything down in my GCal, and then if I don't do it, I'll move it down a little bit. But I feel like it's good to have it in your mind because then you don't even have to look at an agenda or anything like that.
Yeah, I could just never get into like having an agenda like even early on. Like I think like even in elementary school, right? They made us have one. I think for a lot of people, it did some set foundation for like using agendas because I do know a lot of people who do use them and they are still useful for a lot of people. So if that's you, then go with it.
If you were to use, would you choose an agenda or something that you could see by hand?
I
Or like
think
bullet journaling?
I'd say probably an electric one, just because I may forget something at home or at school.
True.
I think like especially when I was younger, like my mom used to call me like the forgetful scientist, just because like I was like smart and everything, like but like my one problem was I would always forget something at school, like homework or something, and I'd get in trouble for that.
Like in your locker, and then when you're opening
Yeah.
your backpack, you're like, where is that?
Yeah. And I've had to go to school like after class just to pick something up before too, like when I was younger. But thankfully I've gotten better at that.
Do you think that being in college has like, immediately taught you that skill or that improved your memory?
Maybe a little, just like having that sense of like greater importance to your assignments and things because they do affect your grade, and just knowing that it's like it's made me like double check everything. Like, so if I'm leaving class, I'll be like, do I have everything? Like, do like a mental check. Do I have like my pencil case? Do I have my laptop? Do I have my phone?
Yeah.
Like everything. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's been pretty helpful.
Also, I think because we're not like in normal circumstances, we wouldn't be living at home. We would be living like in the city, knowing that
Yeah.
we have to be independent and that our moms aren't there to drive us back to school to get everything. I feel like
Yeah.
that also makes you double check. Mhm.
Yeah, definitely. There is like greater sense of like individuality, I'd say,
Mhm.
like, and independence where you are kind of like figuring things out on your own. Like,
Mhm.
yeah, like you have friends and things, but there isn't like your parent like going around telling you what you need to do.
Yeah.
So you kind of have to like figure that out.
Do you think the professors, how have they been different from high school teachers?
So I'd say that professors do care about you, but it's not like to the same extent of like your high school teachers. Like high school teachers, like one thing that like, I really look up to about them is that they're there for you, like even outside of the classroom. And like if you're having some problem, you can go to them and talk to them. A lot of professors are like just are there, like they have their own things going on with like research um and so they aren't as available to you.
In college?
But yeah, in college, like, yeah, but there are a lot of professors who do really care about their students. And if you're having like academic problems, you can reach out to them. But I don't know so much about like any like social problems, or if you're just like feeling burnt out, like there are people you can go to.
Yeah, I will say that do you guys also have advisors?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, so advisors would be kind of like your guidance counselors in high school, but just in the college sense. And also your professors, I think they do have office hours, which we used to call them extra help. And so when we got into college, I didn't know what office hours were, but office hours, I don't know if some high schools call them office hours, but they're just basically extra help hours or just appointment meeting times with your professors. And during those, I feel like mainly they're about academics, but then if you want to chat or if your professor has some time, people will go and chat with them.
I actually have never been to an office hour before.
Really?
Yeah.
Is there any reason just you didn't need to?
Yeah, I just don't think I've needed to so far.
I think initially I would be a little bit scared to go, but then as the year went on, I'm like, okay, I mean, I need this, so I'm just gonna go. And then the professors are just really nice about it, especially if it's your first year, because they know that you just got into college, and so you're trying to figure out everything. And they're nice and welcoming at office hours. So I would say if you are hesitant about that in the future, just go for it.
Yeah.
I think they won't be mad at you or anything for
And
going.
it's also like definitely a good time to get that like get a sense of like what the professor is like outside of the classroom, and like building connections as well.
Yeah. And I guess we were talking about, before we went on the office hours tangent, we were talking about planning out the days. So how would your like start to your morning? Like what time would you wake up? You said you were a night owl, right?
Yeah.
So what time would you wake up on a normal day for class, like when we were in person? And how would your entire day just go?
Yeah, so I was pretty lucky in that like maybe once or twice a week I'd have like a class before 12. So like if I had an early class, I'd kind of just set like an alarm for maybe like 15 minutes before class, because like luckily like I live like literally like a 5-minute walk from my classes. So
Was it a peaceful walk or like a speed walk?
it's been definitely a speed walk. Yeah, but like in like when it's like cold outside, like especially during the fall, like it feels pretty pleasant. But yeah, just wake up 15 minutes before class, change, freshen up. I would usually grab like a couple of like clementines or something and just eat those like during class. But yeah, if I don't have class in the morning, then I'll like sleep in a bit, wake up maybe like 2 hours before class, um, like make some breakfast, like maybe a friend will pop by, like we have breakfast together, study a bit, and yeah, and then head to class. A lot of my classes actually they're pretty like separated, so I'd have like an hour or two of break in between.
Nice. Okay.
So we have like a lounge that I'd go to, and if I have any work, then I'd like just sit down, do some work. But if I were free, then I'd like with some friends, we would play like card games or play some dominoes. We actually also had like a table tennis. We had table tennis and like a pool table in the lounge. So those were also things we would do like during our free time.
This lounge, is it? It's your building specific for
Building specific, yeah.
Okay.
So that's one place we'd go, or like we would go to like a halal cart outside of like campus, grab some food, come back in and eat quickly before class, then go to class. And then if it's like the last class of the day, then we would kind of just like talk about what we're going to do. Because a lot of my friends were commuters or are commuters. So they would have to like grab a train back home. And so if they were free to stay, then maybe we'd go out and do something. Or if like we have an exam, like we'd all head to the library and study.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, it just depends on like how busy you are, because I feel like college like hits you in waves. Like there are some like periods when you have nothing going on and like you have a lot of free time, but then there are others where like it seems like all of your classes have exams and you just have to focus on those.
Yeah,
so there's not much you can do.
Yeah. I just remember this was in multi. I had a conversation with Dr. D.
Mm-hmm.
And then I feel like I was just like, I had a lot of, I forgot if it was in the fall or the spring, but I just had a lot of things on my plate. And then D was like, it's like, yeah, like everything just comes in waves. Like all of a sudden you're like peacefully relaxing, enjoying your life. And then all of a sudden you're just like, I have to do this, and this. And it's something to get used to because like you have midterm seasons and final seasons. And then in between you might have some papers or something like that. But yeah it is kind of wave based.
Yeah. Like once you're done with those exams, then like you don't really have anything going on for a while. So you do have like a little bit of a break and some freedom to do what you want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Low tide season.
Yeah. So after class, like if no one's free, I would do some work, and then like towards like 7 o'clock, I would go to the rock climbing gym. If we have, even if we didn't have like a club meeting, I'd still like just try and go and like get a workout in, also just to relax. And then I'd go home, or I'd go back to my apartment, eat, and just study if I have work to do. If not, then I just relax some more, like watch something, call a friend and talk, and But I think one thing that I was like surprised about was I thought I'd cook a lot more in college, but I would go home every weekend and my mom would just pack food for me. So I just end up eating that throughout the week.
That's a good thing about
which is nice.
Being close to home. You can just take the train back and then a couple of subway rides and then be back at school.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would also go home on the weekends when I had a chance. I think it's a nice to be around your family and just like a support system too.
Definitely. Like you kind of miss that.
Yeah. Did you live with a roommate
I didn't actually.
Okay.
Like I wasn't, when I first like got there, I wasn't sure about what I wanted, like about like what to do, or like because the dorms there aren't actually that nice. And so I went to get something off campus, and I figured that, okay, like for a year at least, I'd have something by myself. And then as I make friends, then maybe move in with a roommate. But I actually really enjoyed living by myself, and just like not having to worry about other people, or like if I'm disturbing them or not. That was something that like I pleasantly enjoyed. And then if I was lonely or something, I could just invite friends over and have some company.
Yeah, that's nice. And you said that like a lot of your friends were commuters, right? Does that mean that most of them must have lived like in the city? Is there?
Yeah, or like not too far. Like I'd say the general like population of Sophie Davis are New York based. Probably like 97% of people are from New York. Like there aren't too many people from upstate, but everyone like generally is from like Brooklyn, from the Bronx, or from Long Island. I had some friends from Queens that would commute, a couple from Brooklyn. So it would be like an hour, like back and forth to college and back.
That's good. Did you ever kind of explore the different boroughs with your friends who lived there?
I definitely went out to Queens more, I'd say, and Brooklyn. Like those are, I would go like occasionally when I was younger, but not really. Like before college, like not really at all.
Yeah.
So that was nice. Or like if I went with my family, like we'd usually have something in mind to go there for.
Hmm.
And so just being able to go and do what I want, that was pretty cool.
Yeah. Would you say that the other, you said like 97% were New York. Would you say the other 3% were around the tri-state area, like the like New Jersey or just like areas around New York?
It's pretty random actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Would you
There's
get?
some people from like Arkansas, from
Oh,
Tennessee, yeah, from Texas, like all over.
oh, nice. And I wanted to ask this, but about the K-drama topic, do you have any recommendations for people who do not watch K-dramas but are interested in getting into them? What K-dramas would you recommend them to watch first and why?
Okay, so I think it depends on like first on like what topics you enjoy, or like so if you do like the romance types, I would say that Boys Over Flowers is actually like a classic for a lot of people. Like it's a classic for a reason, but it also is like very cheesy and like over dramatic. A lot of people do get hooked by that though. And so if you really like romance ones that are like up and down, that's a good one.
Mhm.
Goblin is also a very good one to get into. Just like the production quality as well as the story, it's so good. And like the ending just hits you really hard.
I haven't I've
You
like
haven't
watched
watched it.
them. No, I haven't watched it in full.
It's really good. That's another one. If you like action ones, like the best action one is one called Healer. It has like two actors, Ji Chang Wook and Park Min Young. I don't know if you've heard of them before,
I've heard of Park
but
Min Young before.
they're like super cute together in the drama. So
Oh,
it's like there is some romance, but it's also like a lot of action and stuff. So that was really enjoyable. And if you do like the corruption, that topic, I would say Vagabond is one really good one, and another really good one is um, probably one called Stranger, which I'm watching right now. It's probably like it's one of the most popular dramas uh, in terms of like ratings.
mhm.
So that's also a really good one. And a second season just came out recently, so there's more to watch if you get into it.
So I think that is a good note to leave off on, talking about recommendations for stress relief and K dramas if you're into that. Do you have any like last words of wisdom for anyone going through the college application process or anyone just in
Yeah,
college now? Yeah.
I think at the time of like filming this, people are starting to get like responses from colleges, or they will be getting them soon. And so I would say that you probably have like a ton invested in like your applications and waiting to hear back from places. But at the end of the day, like you know how hard you work, and through hard work, you can get anywhere you want to. So even if you don't get into the college of your choice, you can, as long as you work hard and you are determined, you can do whatever you want with your life. So don't let like one no prevent you from living the life you want.
Agreed. And remember that you're probably 18, 19, you still have your whole life ahead of you. Even though like being 18, 19 seems like, I mean, it is your whole life already, but just remember
Yeah.
you still have so many years ahead and you can do anything you want with those.
Yeah, you never know what the future has in store. And for people in college right now, um, yeah, just like if you haven't already, figure out like how to balance your life is like the number one thing I could tell you. Just like being able to balance everything, knowing when you need a break, when you want to devote time to like having some social life, and but also knowing when you need to really devote yourself to your studies is something that that you should work on and try and get a sense of that early on.
Hmm. Agreed. 100%. Yeah. Do you have anything you want to plug or shout out?
Um, Not really, but definitely check out Caroline's YouTube channel. Uh, it is really nice to see. Um, I think that we have one really old Spanish project we worked on together as one of
Yes,
your
I
like
remember
really first videos.
QVC.
Yeah.
𝐎𝐏𝐄𝐍.
That was from
like,
ninth grade. That was from ninth grade of high school. Yeah.
so long ago. Yeah, Bilal's in that, so you might recognize him from there. So be sure to check that out. Let's try this new thing on the podcast where we do a virtual high five. Okay. We might have to do multiple takes of this to get it right, because I think I'm on the right side of the screen, but I think Bilal's on the right side of the screen for his, but we'll just try it. Okay, ready? I'm going to do my left hand first. Okay, 3, 2, 1, clap. Okay, and then I'm going to try the other side. Ready? 3, 2, and then you stay on the same side.
Yeah.
3, 2, 1, clap. Okay, yay! And to wrap up the podcast, if you're watching this as a video podcast on YouTube, make sure to like and subscribe and comment down below what you'd like to see next in the different episodes. And if you're listening to this on any other podcast streaming platform, then be sure to follow and like as well. And I think that is all. Thank you for listening and tuning in. And thank you so much to Bilal for sharing his wisdom and his experiences and his K-drama recommendations. I'm sure those will be super helpful for anyone going into college.
Thank you so much for having me, Caroline.
Of course.
It was really nice to talk to you.
Yeah, it was really good to catch up. And we look forward to seeing you in the next episode.